What's up, my Glunky gamers? So, we can agree that Nod-krai was better than Natlan, right? Even if this is still up for debate, why was Nod-krai so well-liked by story players, while Natlan was called the worst nation? They both have a similar found family / friendship as magic theme, but I felt Nod-krai had a much better execution of it, so today we are going to see where Nod-krai succeeds, and what Natlan did wrong. This is all my opinion, and it's totally okay if you love Natlan. One last thing before I get started, I should say that Natlan may have been crushed under the weight of the fandom expectations. Since Nod-krai was a last-minute decision, people had no expectations of it, whereas Natlan had been on the way for the whole game and it sounded super cool from what we learned early on, so this does mean Nod-krai is at a slight advantage. First, the cast. I did not care for most of the Natlan cast. I liked Kenichi, Mualani, and Kachina, and I felt those three had the most interesting dynamics. Everyone else felt very bland to me. Zilonan didn't play a big part of the story, and it seemed like they were setting up something with her needing to sacrifice something to forge the Traveler's ancient name, but then nothing ever came of it in the main story. Ororon was just okay. I liked his interactions with Silali. Shaska felt unnecessary. She played a part during the war, but also, everyone played a part during the war. See, Lolly was an important character, but her character just didn't really do anything for me. I've seen it before, and honestly, I'm just not a fan of characters who drink like that. It kind of rubs me the wrong way. A character I was more frustrated with was actually Yan-san. Every other character in the main trailer was important. Ningguang, Sino, Ayaka, and Linny all played a huge part in their respective Archon quests, which meant everyone assumed Yan-san would also be an important character, but she barely appeared. Now, Mafuika. Everything that can be said about her has been said, so I'll keep it short. As the human Archon, she sure feels the most perfect. Every other Archon feels really relatable in some aspects, but Mavuika's only flaw is being too selfless. That's not a real flaw, that's the kind of flaw you say in an interview. There's nothing interesting about her, in my view. Even near the end of the quest, when she was faced with her dead sister, she didn't even show the slightest crack in her resolve. Lastly, I should include Capitano. He was not handled well, especially considering he was from Conria and was a Fatui Harbinger. His death was nothing special, which is surprising because it had all the ingredients to be something awesome and, dare I say, auraful, but it felt really uninspired to me. He was also really chill with Mavuika, which was so weird, even more so when you remember that they had that huge fight at the beginning. He was just a misunderstood guy, I guess. The dynamics between characters also felt very dry and overdone, which is not great when the main theme is friendship and family. Now let's talk about the cast of Nod-krai, which is much more fun to talk about, I fear. Starting with Inefa, she has such a great introduction quest to Nod-krai, which definitely set the bar for the rest of the Archon quest high. I absolutely adored her relationship with Aino and how they care for each other in their own ways. Aino was a cutie pie and somehow felt more important than Chaska to me, even as a 4-star. Lauma had such a cool idea and I really liked her. I just felt like she needed some more time to be her own character, as it felt like most of the time they were too focused on her relationships with others. Flynn's was definitely my favorite Nod-krai character. I just love characters who are the opposite of your expectations, even better because I'm a little sick of the dark brooding character type that it seemed he was going to fall into. I also really enjoyed his interactions with others, especially Varka. Nefer was fun, I just felt like her story quest was a little rushed and in a weird spot, but that's a pacing problem, not a character problem. I also enjoyed seeing her dynamic with Lauma change over the course of the Archon quest. I thought Yehoda was really cute, but her expressions sometimes ruined the mood. The Traveler got fucking kidnapped by Dotoria and she relaxed like that one shocked emoji. Varka was pretty cool to see, I quite liked his silly slacker personality, but he was serious when he needed to be. Nicole is my second favorite Genshin character, so I might be a little biased, but I loved her role in the quest, and her way of talking is so unique and cool. Now, my favorite trio in Genshin showed up in this quest, and it was awesome! I love Joanna and Albedo and Wanderer's little, sibling dynamic. I think it's super cute. Also, side note, if you ship them, it's fine, I just don't care for it personally. And now Columbina. I really enjoyed Columbina's found family aspects. I do think she could have been more interesting, but I am happy with what we got, especially after Mavuika. I do think the Three Moon Sisters part was incredibly rushed. Also, I feel before we move on, I should talk about the fan service complaints. I'm gonna be honest, I think she is fan service, but if you're gonna complain about that, why don't you complain about Zhao and Wanderer's fan service? It kind of just feels like some of you guys don't like women. I also really liked how the Traveler felt like their own character here. On to the next topic, and the most important topic, the Archon quests. Now, I've been procrastinating writing this part of the script simply because I dislike Natlan and don't want to talk about it. I'm gonna keep this short, but the pacing was pretty bad. It all felt super rushed to me. I don't like how everyone was obsessed with the Traveler for no reason. The ancient name part was super weird to me and had no consequences, even though they kind of make a big deal of it. It feels to me like Natlan could have been skipped. Nod-krai, what people call the filler region, it felt so much more eventful and impactful. One of the worst parts is that it heavily relies on friendship, which is fine, but not when your characters don't have interesting or fresh dynamics. There was also not a lot of dragon lore in the dragon region. Now we can finally talk about Nod-krai, thank god! First of all, the Anetha prelude had such beautiful cutscenes and storytelling. Definitely one of the best starts to a region, if not the best. Nod-krai had interesting and compelling villain characters, and it felt like Natlan had no real villains. The Abyss was there, but that's kind of always the villain in my mind. I think Revere was super cool and intimidating, even more so when you realize that he could have easily impersonated anyone. I think it was pretty cool that the Traveler, totally threw out their morals for a chance to see the fake Abyss sibling. I love seeing Revere's story and how it was told through the scene of him crossing out more and more people. The animation for his story of choosing the Abyss was beautifully animated as well. Everything with Columbina going back into the past and helping the Traveler in the current time was done perfectly and felt very thoughtful. Dotori was a great villain in Sumeru and Nod-krai, though I think coming back 3 times is enough personally. I hope he's actually dead. I also thought it had perfect closure, minus the glitch at the end. Obviously that's been resolved in the new Sumeru Archon quest though. The biggest problem I had with Nod-krai was that the spaceship did feel a little weird, but they've been hinting at that for a little bit now. The found family felt really cute in this one and I enjoyed it a lot. Well, sure, I've listed a bunch of problems I have with Natlan, but what makes Natlan's friendship as magic theme any different specifically? I personally think it comes down to 2 things. Firstly, in Nod-krai, everyone played a huge part in helping with all of their special skills. Yes, even my least favorite Genshin character, Dori. In Natlan, it just felt too Traveler and Malvika heavy. Secondly, in Nod-krai, it wasn't just friends. In reality, a lot of the cast disliked each other in the beginning, but harsh conditions forced them to come together in order to survive Dotori and Revere. That's what was so different about Nod-krai and Natlan. Nod-krai was very realistic in that aspect. One last thing before I finish up, the character designs. Natlan had one clear problem with the character designs, and that was that you couldn't tell what they were or even a little bit about them. The worst example is Auroron, who is supposed to be a farmer? He looks like a Gacha Life kid. I think Aoife did the best job at conveying his character. You can very much tell he's a carefree vet, the animal kind, not the military kind. But look me dead in the eyes and tell me that Veressa actually looks like a wrestler. You'd sound like a liar, okay? You can tell Aino is a mechanic though, and you can definitely tell that Nicole is an angel or at least an angelic character. That's all. I hope you enjoyed my first analysis type video and tell me if you want more. Don't be shy to share your opinions in the comments. Goodbye, Glunky Gamers!